Good morning. I'm very pleased to be here and to give some impulses from the perspective of historical music theory. I'm Markus Roth. I'm professor for music theory at Folkwang University of Arts in Germany. The idea of algorithmic music, or perhaps better developing mechanical procedures of composition, is a topic discovered in the 17th century. It corresponds with an increased interest in combinatorics, a new fascination for the exploration of combinatorial possibilities, and the writing out of them in sprawling lists. In the 17th century, certain areas of compositional theory, such as the theory of the canon, were comprehensively explored in tables of numbers. We see here some examples. In the following, I would like to contribute a few brief reflections on the contexts in which algorithmic procedures appear in the narrower sense. Why and for whom are they invented? And how do they relate to compositional practice? I will not talk about the general mechanics of composition in the Baroque. Let's start with an unconspicuous but I think very instructive example. The title of Thomas Campion's treatise, A New Way of Making Four Parts in Counterpoint, announces a completely new method of instruction. The author obviously had wealthy dilettantes with compositional interests in mind as readers. And he also had commercial interests. Campion uses the rectangle on the right as the most important aid for producing a correct four-part sequence. It shows how the upper voices alternate between third, fifth, and octave, depending on the respective fundamental step of the bass part. With these 6 figures, all possible diatonic sequences are covered. In order to create a coherent piece, only a suitable bass line is required as input. Campion's magic rectangle, the graphic representation of an infallible rule, has the characteristics of an algorithm. It provides unambiguous, repeatable solutions based on finite steps. However, Campion's method only codifies basic voice leading principles. Compositional practice, as this example shows, thrives on the exceptions for which there is no rule. We see here in a piece of Campion himself the beauty and, yes, technical necessity of double thirds, and in the tenor, the sweeping predominance of melodic principles. And of course, 6 chords, chromatic progressions, and dissonances have their place within it. The functioning of the famous Arca Musica, also a theme in the exposition, developed by Athanasius Kircher, can only be briefly explained here. I would define Kircher's Arca as a memory box, as a store of information on double-labeled wooden plates, inscribed with combinatorial set pieces for the production of chants in praise of God. Large arrangements result from isolated basic elements. Kircher's aim is the formulation of linking rules, for instance, in the form of number tables. The arca is thus also a random generator. In the light of current discussions about AE, it should be noted that the polymath Kircher conducted research in the service of the Jesuit order. Against this background, the invention of the arca cannot be separated from the idea of enabling missionaries all over the world to declaim texts in any language, produce stylistically faithful and correct four-part chants in the spirit of the prevailing dogma. New media and new user interfaces were created with the desire of enabling those interested to compose without any further knowledge. One of the most independent and original contributions to this field was made by Giovanni Bontempi. His treatise Nova Quatur Vocibus Componendi Methodus is short, only 27 pages, and its conceptual center is this image called the rota, curiously associated with sweat and labor, sudore et labore in the center, perhaps the brain of the rota. The rota can be easily rotated and read. The numbers in the fields represent positions in the tonal system. The application examples provided by Bontempi are similar to Kircher's products in their substance. They are created by placing an exemplary text in a meter, rhythmicizing it, and providing it with a bass line. Finally, one has only to read out the remaining voices following the system. It is only on closer inspection that has become clear with what Bontempi is actually concerned. If you write out the rota in scalar form, as here, it gives the impression of a somewhat strange and impractical variant of the regula dell'ottava, modally unclear with some strange progressions that you would never use in this way. But the basic idea is a combinatorial one. You should be able to turn the rota like a lottery wheel, and any position should be able to be followed by any other. This maxim forces Bontempi to make some quirky concessions with regard to voice leading. I won't go into the details here, but perhaps you have questions about them. Imagine you can never, for instance, in the tenor, have two fifths in the whole, because there would be parallels. As a voice-leading module, the rota somehow produces correct chants in a stylistic no man's land in certain cases. But in other cases, it leads to rigid and really unsatisfactory results that cannot be even saved by subsequent interventions. The automatism of forcible voice leading prevails. But the idea of mechanical music, of mechanical composition is in the world and, as indicated here, remains important even in the 18th century. We can still learn, I think, from the surviving experiments today by understanding how they work and uncovering the implicit knowledge they contain. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Are there direct immediate questions to this talk? Yes.
Your mention of Thomas Carpio with the sequences 835 makes me an association with the golden cut Fibonacci series. Has this been systematically exploited?
But the 1, 3, 5 basically means third, fifth, and octave.
It's close to the golden cut. It's not the exact golden cut, but if you continue in this series, it will converge exactly to the golden cut.
Yes, I know, but what do you do with the 13 then?
Golden ratio, you mean?
But it's an interesting thought. Yes.
Out of curiosity about the Sudore Labore of Bontempi, how many possible solutions are there to make chords on all 8 scale degrees such that each one can follow each other one without violating any counterpoint rules?
That's a question I don't know. But there's an article in the literature on the last slide. You would find an answer. It's out of my memory, but it's a whole number of possibilities. Huh?
Is it a big number?
Yes. Big. Yeah, it depends how long the sentence is.
I mean, how many possible wheels exist?
I don't know.